Okay.
Make sure.
Welcome back to today's episode of Unapologetic Living. I'm Elizabeth Elliott. I am your hostess, and I am excited to have the libido coach. No, that's not her real name, but that's how I found her on Instagram. Her name is Eleni Econimides.
Perfect.
Okay, ASEX certified sex therapist, sexual wellness, and intimacy coach. And I have been, so first of all, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And I'm glad we connected. I know that I was drawn to your name on Instagram, and partly because of prior personal experience, knowing that I felt like I had no libido, nothing was working, and I was in a relationship at that time, wondering, I'm broken, this, that, and the other, and but then found out it wasn't necessarily any of that. And
Mhm.
I think it had more to do with feelings of unsafety. And he wasn't unsafe, but there was just some, I guess, nervous system. I'm not sure, right? Let's just put it at that. And
We'll talk
so,
about that.
yeah. And so you know, was like, I'm broke. I'm broken. I must not be interested in sex. I must not want it. And that's just wasn't, I learned, not true. Um,
Mhm.
and it wasn't due to lack of orgasm.
Mhm.
That wasn't it. I always had an orgasm. So I know that's not always the case for a lot of women. I know that the orgasm gap is there and it's real. But that has never been my experience. So yeah.
You
So,
just summarized the
so
experience of all of us.
yeah, and then, where I'm at 47, and I know a lot of women begin to go into this age of perimenopause, and or they are suffering with maybe an autoimmune condition, or they just think that their libido's gone. And
Mhm.
and I don't know that I necessarily agree, but for whatever circumstances or journey they've been on at this point, it might be, let's say, dormant.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Or at least it feels that way. And because we expect it to be like it used to, or we want it to be like it used to, because we think that's how it should be, we're not really looking for other ways to access it. We just wait for it to be there, want it for it to be available. And when it's not, we kind of panic or we just feel hopeless and helpless. And there are so many different ways to understand female sexual desire and just sexuality in general. And I would love to talk about some of that here today. Can you hear me and see me okay? I think that
Yeah. Yeah.
it's the connection might be a little bit.
Oh, is you,
Okay.
I can hear and see you okay. I haven't had any issues, but if I do, maybe I'll like wave my hands because every once in a while I'm like, okay, and they don't,
You're freezing a little bit for me, but
oh,
yeah,
really? Okay.
as long as you hear me, that's fine. You're freezing a little bit for me. Yes. So
But before you,
so yes,
can you tell me, I
right.
don't know, maybe you're about to go into this, what drew you to this work? Oh, it says my internet connection is unstable.
Mhm.
Okay, it's gone.
Mhm.
Hopefully it hangs in there. What drew you to this work?
What drew me to this work? I
Yeah.
believe I heard your question
Okay.
right.
Okay.
So uh, I don't know how far I should start, how far back, but anyways, I I came to the United States from Greece to do my master's in marriage and family therapy. And
Hmm.
after I did that, I worked for a couple of years in community mental health, and then I met my husband, and I became pregnant, and then became a stay-home mom for 6 years. Okay. Then when I had you know, uh, when it was time for me to go back to work because I really needed to start having adult conversations. I was at home with three young kids, and I felt really like I was losing myself. So I needed to go back to work. The only thing that made sense was for me to start my own practice so I can make my own schedule and accommodate my family. So I started a small private practice, and I knew that I wanted to work with couples because I just had a passion for couples therapy. Plus, I needed to help myself in my relationship with my husband and the changes that had happened with having, transitioning from a couple that's in love to a couple that's now married, committed, long-term relationship with kids, right? A lot of changes. And so I focused all my energy in learning more about couples therapy, seeing couples, learning from them. And what became obvious a few years into it, 2 or 3 years into it, was that unless we talked, well, couples came to couples therapy to improve their communication and their connection, right? Secretly hoping that that will improve things in the bedroom. They would never really come, no pun intended, to couples therapy because they had sexual issues. They would come because our communication is broken or we feel disconnected. But unless I asked about sex, they wouldn't tell me about it. They would just hope it worked out, right? So what I saw was happening was things would get better for a little bit, communication would improve, connection would improve, and now sex was on the table for them, right, on their end. If one of them was struggling with something sexually, whether it was low libido, difficulty climaxing, some sort of performance anxiety, then they would unconsciously sabotage the communication and the connection. And then it's sort of like we would go in circles. Like it felt like, oh, we got past this point. Why are we still there? Why are we coming back to this? Right. And when I started asking about sex, it became obvious that there was a sticking point in their sex life that they were hoping was just going to be dissolved by improving communication and connection, but it wasn't. So I started learning how to be more comfortable talking about sex with my couples and more knowledgeable, that which is what led me to my sex therapy certification, because it was like the missing piece in couples therapy that I could actually like help couples transform their relationship in a more sort of um, uh, consistent and sustainable way. So that was in 2017 that I became a sex therapist. And since then, I've been seeing couples um, I've been doing sex therapy with couples, individuals, men, women, the whole gamut. But through that work, what also became very clear was this common dynamic of like what brings couples or sex therapy is this desire discrepancy, meaning one person wants sex more than the other, right? Which is a normal thing because all couples have it. But many of us don't know what to make of it or don't know how to talk about it. So instead, we avoid it or we fight about it, which is what then brings us to couples therapy. Okay. Uh, so the most common dynamic, like 70% of the time, the person with low libido is the woman. There's this other 30% that is the man. So from that work, um, working with women with low libido and figuring out ways to bring sexual intimacy alive in the relationship and to help them reconnect with their sexual energy became this sort of like I developed this program for women with low libido, and it's it's sort of like the thing that I love to do and help women with. I was a woman with low libido in my I am now I'm considered the low libido one, but I have found ways to um, lean into my sexuality, my responsive sexual desire, and I have shifted my mindset about sex and the purpose it serves in my life. That has made all the difference in the world, which comes to we come saying that we come to what you were saying about feeling unsafe. Like it's a very common feeling that holds us back from being comfortable sexually. And we can get into that more if you want, but I want to pause here because I said a lot and
Yeah.
see if you.
Yeah. Well, unsafe, so I teach yoga, and it took me a minute to realize like that's really what I was feeling in a sense. Also,
Mhm.
from a physiological point of view, uh, um, as you know, a functional medicine health coach, and what I have learned is that if you're feeling unsafe, right, your body is going to naturally and intuitively, physiologically, not even want it, right? Because
Mhm.
it's not interested in having to, and if you don't feel safe and provided for, that root chakra isn't solid, then you're not trying to make babies,
Mhm.
right? And although that's not the only purpose of sex, right? It's for pleasure as well. You're not, you're in a state of fight or flight, and chronic state of stress is not conducive to nurturing a growing fetus.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, so physiologically this is taking place, but energetically and emotionally it's also taking place, right? Because you can't really dissect one from the other. And so,
Mhm.
um, if that makes sense. So, you have this, uh, again, if you don't feel safe, the body also is not going to surrender emotionally and
Of
physically.
course. When you don't
Vulnerability or
say.
to release and
Mhm.
make that orgasm face that's so goofy or whatever, right? I was watching this, like it's just interesting, right? You've got to feel so comfortable in order to
Mhm.
let go.
Did you know why you didn't feel safe or comfortable? Because you said the partner was not unsafe.
Yeah, I knew why, because we financially, there were things about it. Do I, there were things about that relationship for sure that did not feel safe. I
Mhm.
also felt like, um, look, this is the father of my kids. And so, I mean, he is a good man, but there was, I was constantly, um, uh, just the way we set up our home and our financial situation, I was constantly, drowning.
Mhm. Okay, so you were anxious and stressed out about the financial
Yes, it
situation.
was just stress. And so that alone, but I could have an orgasm every time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
But
But
was
the
there?
desire and to do it, but we did it, right?
Mhm.
We made sure I always did it.
Okay.
Okay. So in
Hmm.
that regard, I also negated maybe some days, but I also see the value in cultivating that sort of, oh gosh, it's a lot.
Yeah, we don't need to get to
Yeah.
like too much into the personal
But
stuff,
like when I look
but
at energetically, like from the yogic energetic centers, the root chakra has to feel really comfortable, or the sacral chakra, the sexual inner chakra, isn't interested. They build on one another.
mhm, for sure, right? That's why it's almost like, stress is not good for
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
It's not good for our eating habits. It's not good for our sleeping habits. It's just not good for us, right?
Yeah.
It throws nervous system off, and it's hard to find balance, right? Now, of course, that's over here, right? What could impact a woman's libido?
Hmm.
Stress and lack
Stress.
of
Yeah.
sleep, lack of proper eating, for sure, right? When
Hmm.
you have stress hormones in your body, your sexual energy cannot flow
Right.
that freely. But even when there is no stress, a lot of women experience low libido.
Hmm.
Okay. So, and perimenopause is a time or menopause that when there are hormonal changes, that can be part of it. But the kind of low libido that I'm kind of working with women and helping them with is the kind that is sort of things are great in the beginning of the relationship, and sexual energy is flowing, and we're having sex, we feel comfortable. And then all of a sudden, things like change, and you start losing your desire for sex. And you feel like it starts to feel like a chore and an obligation and something you just do for the other person because, if you don't give to them, you feel guilty or they make you feel guilty. And sort of it becomes this perpetual negative cycle that you start to dread sex,
Hmm.
right? Sometimes, that also means that your sexual pleasure is down. Sometimes you don't feel much down there,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So that, of course, having kids is usually the place where this starts, right?
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
both hormonal changes, our body changes, another person shows up in the family, time is less, sleep is less. So it's a very natural reason why our libido is lower. But
And I also want to
most of
add
the time,
there real quick that I know sometimes there can be birth trauma that can contribute.
sure,
Yeah.
of course, of
Hmm.
course. But and then you have to like add the identity of a mother into who
Hmm.
you
Oh,
are.
yeah. Hmm.
And oftentimes a mother and a sexual person are in conflict
Hmm. Yeah.
as identities,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
At least it's how we are raised to think about it,
Right.
right? Once you become a mother, there is a sense of like purity and sort of like your role now is to take care of other people and to, mother them. Right? You become sacrificial, and sexual pleasure and sexual desire is not a sacrificial thing. It's like something that you do for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you also have, I know when I was a mom, well, I'm a mom, but mine are grown. And by the end of the day,
Mhm,
I didn't want to be touched by one more human,
mhm.
you know?
Yeah, because the touch, it was part of you giving,
Yeah.
yeah,
Even
giving
though,
something to you. Your
yes.
kids would touch you because they wanted something, right? Now, the touch that's for sexual pleasure, it doesn't have to be giving, it can be receiving.
Yeah.
But when it doesn't function as receiving and it feels like as giving, then you don't want another person touching you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So learning how to have that be receiving versus giving
Yeah.
is the goal, because I mean it starts when we are so young as little girls, right? We are taught to be scared of sex. To Let me explain. We are taught to have mixed feelings about sex, right? Sex can be dangerous. Sex is could be immoral, cheap, shallow, dirty. If you have it too early, somehow maybe your moralities of your questionable character. If you have it with too many people, then maybe again you should be trusted to in a relationship, you name it, and god forbid you enjoy it, then you probably are easy or something, or
Right. Yeah.
somehow you're like a little bit slutty,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So very early on we are trained in our lives to abstain from it
Hmm.
and save it for love. Save it for commitment. Make sure you have it with someone that loves you and cares about you, right? Because if you have it just for the sake of pleasure, hmm, you somehow now are under the microscope of what kind of person are you that you would have sex for pleasure
Hmm.
as a
Hmm.
woman. Because as a man, that is not a problem, right? Men are supposed to be sexual, seek sexual pleasure. There is no judgment on them for that.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's the message.
So, yeah, so we learn to not have a good relationship with sex, to feel unsafe when sex is around or sexual attention comes to us, because we are sort of like them if we do and them if we don't. If we like it and we want it, we will be judged. If we don't like it and we don't want it, we will be judged. We will be, we're considered crude or frigid or somehow, I don't know, um, hook,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so we develop this ambivalent, negative relationship with sex that it's only okay to have it when we feel loved and connected and there's commitment. Okay, and that's a big part of the reason why, unless the woman feels emotionally connected and close to her partner, she doesn't feel open to sex. She doesn't feel the desire for sexual intimacy. Are you following this? Do you understand
Oh,
what I'm
yeah. Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Uh, because we are trained to think that way, that in order for you to want sex, love, commitment, and connection should be present, because having it without those is somehow uh, not good for you, not good about your character, your reputation,
Right. Yeah.
who you are. Uh, so that doesn't go away. Even if you are married with a person that you know they love you, unless you experience this moment of connection and closeness, your brain is going to say, to shut down desire, to shut down, say no. Even if your body actually has signs of arousal, like kind of feels a little bit turned on or would be open to sex, we prioritize the mental side of, are the circumstances right for me to be having sex, than the physical part. Like, I feel turned on, but I'm kind of mad at him. So no, I'm not going to have sex because he shouldn't have done that. And do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I'm mad at him and I'm pissed off and I could have sex, but no, until he apologizes, I'm not going to have sex because I won't feel connected or close to him until he apologizes.
Right. Although I do think there can be some healing in just doing the sex anyway, in my opinion.
If you have a good relationship with sex, yes. If you have a bad relationship with sex, the concept of sex,
Hmm.
right? So we want to change our relationship with sex itself as a concept so that we can use it for our pleasure. You can use it to heal and make amends and sort of like come together with our partner after a fight.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it feels like something we're giving and letting another person take from us because somehow that's what we're good for to them. Right?
Yeah.
That's what, and then we feel all sorts of negative feelings, like we're not important enough, like we're objectified, that we are, only there for his pleasure if our relationship with sex is not good.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. So you mentioned, if we step back just a bit, a lot of times you see this when uh, a woman becomes a mother,
Mhm.
but that not every woman are mothers. I also feel as though,
Mhm.
you hear it with just individuals over time. What's so easy in the beginning gets almost more difficult the longer you're in it.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and I think that's where I went through this class and she used the term clearing the glass. So if you have this glass between you and your partner and it gets smudgy and you're not clearing that glass always through, open, honest, vulnerable communication, right, to feel that closeness, it's going to
Mhm.
get more difficult to come together in that way. And the longer you've been together, the more smudges there are, usually.
Do you know what the smudges are? What are they
I
created by?
I would think a lot of it is I do I mean I would say it's a combination of things, but I would think it's a lot of resentment
It's judgment.
or judgment. Why do you say judgment?
Well, we judge our partner,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So I mean, it's a normal thing to judge. We all judge. Our partners judges us too, right? But when we judge our partner, like he shouldn't have done that, he shouldn't have said that, or
Yeah.
if he loved me enough, he would do this instead of that, right? He came in the house and he didn't even, you know, give me a kiss and he walked past me. So I don't know, I'm not important to him.
Right.
We judge, we start to have negative judgments about our partner, right? The very things that felt cute in the beginning of the relationship, we didn't, it was kind of cute. Like we would see them with rose-colored
Oh
glasses.
yeah.
They couldn't do anything wrong. And even if they did things that uh, we don't do, they were kind of cute. Right? But now the same things drive us crazy. Why is that? Because the person didn't change. They're still doing the things they used to do that you thought were cute. Our judgments about it,
Have changed.
the what we tell ourselves that means has changed
Mm-hmm.
because our thoughts about our partner changed. That's why our feelings change.
Mm-hmm.
If we can accept this person for who they are and who they've always been without telling ourselves what it means that they are this way, especially what it means about us, um, the relationship is going to not have so much uh, friction.
So then when you work with women and you help them to develop or cultivate maybe I don't know if the word healthier relationship around sex would be or with sex, do you um, include self-pleasure
Mm.
as one of those, like as a
For
way to,
sure.
okay. Because I
I
know
mean,
that for me, um, in the same court, that was a big piece of it is just learning to get comfortable on my own
mhm.
was like
Yeah,
key. If I can't even take the time for me, why could I
that's right.
receive from someone else for that equal amount of time
Mhm.
or
I
less or
mean,
whatever?
there's
But
so many benefits of self-pleasure in this process of learning to develop a more positive relationship with sex, right? Because masturbation is for your own pleasure. There is no other person involved, no need to worry about somebody else's feelings. So you're left with yourself.
hmm
And your thoughts about sex and yourself will show up in masturbation. It's a great learning experience, right?
hmm
How you feel about your body, how you feel about um, uh, sex and the purpose of it, or what it means to take a long time. Like all of the drama, this mental drama about sex will show up with masturbation too. A
hmm
lot more shows up with a partner. It definitely is a step toward learning what feels good, learning our body, right?
hmm
Learning to enjoy our touch and to not judge the things that turn us on. Because a lot of times, fantasy is like a story that creates sexual energy in our body, like imagination, fantasy,
hmm
right? Much like reading erotica. Um, can be a big turn on. But if we judge what turns us on and don't allow it to just happen, uh, that's another reason why our desire drops so low because we tell ourselves this thing should not be turning me on. Why am I reading this story about this guy? Or why am I thinking about being tied up when I know in real life I wouldn't want that?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't allow somebody to like have this kind of control over me. So even if my mind gets turned on in my body with that, I will decline it.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, I don't allow myself to experience pleasure or get turned on because I may have judgments about what it
Mm-hmm.
means to be thinking
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
to be doing this. Makes sense?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. So oftentimes that's why it also becomes so hard to come for women because they either don't have access to their turn-ons, they don't know what they are because they never explored them because they never thought they could, or
Right.
they it was okay to do so, right? A lot of women just start having sex because they want to please a partner, or they want to make them happy, they want to feel accepted and loved by a partner, and they give sex to make themselves valuable to the other person
Mm-hmm.
or irreplaceable.
Right.
It's not because they're like, I want to, I, I want to feel good with this person.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that also happens in the beginning.
Right. Yeah.
But if we have mental drama about sex, its purpose, men and why they like sex, and like
Mm-hmm.
we have judgments about men and sex, that will start to interfere when we are about to have sex with our partner who we know loves us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So all this gets in the way.
It gets in the way. Our relationship with sex, if it's not positive, it gets in the way. Our relationship with men as a concept, right? The beliefs we have about men and sex, the judgments we have about them gets in the way.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and our relationship with ourself, if it's not good, our self-confidence,
Mm-hmm.
it will get in the way. If we don't like ourselves and if we don't like our body, if we have negative chatter about our worth and value as a person, it will interfere with our ability to receive pleasure and
Mm-hmm.
be comfortable, be open, literally, to sharing ourselves with another person.
So aside from masturbation and self-pleasure, which, I think also just understanding, knowing what feels good in order to communicate that as well with your partner is important, right? If you don't know what you like, I also learned that a lot of women don't feel a lot, literally. It's like
Mhm,
they've gone numb. They've
mhm.
literally turned. And so you can reawaken. I mean, I know because I've
Yes.
done it. You can reawaken what you feel has gone
Mhm,
dead
mhm.
with, various modalities like the JDEG or, deammering with like a yoni wand and such. Because I think that is also a complaint. I just don't feel anything. Or with penetration. And they focus on the clitoris and there you can have deep cervical orgasms, right? Or G-spot orgasms. There are other ways to feel, and I think that is something else where women, so they don't even know that it feels good, that it is pleasurable or can be. But that doesn't mean that they can't reignite that.
Well, they definitely can,
Yeah,
right? But if you, in order for you to want to do that, in order for you to reinvigorate it, you have to want it.
yeah,
You have to want it for you
right.
because you value your pleasure,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. If you don't want it,
Value-
you're not
When
gonna
you value
cultivate
your
it.
pleasure,
Yeah,
no perimenopause or menopause is going to hold you back from having your sexual pleasure.
right, exactly.
You could find a way to get it back, to increase it again.
Yeah.
But when you never really valued your pleasure, and you were sort of like having the sex to like for somebody else, and your pleasure was also kind of like not that important to you, because if your partner focused on you, you got anxious, and you're like, oh, it's taking a little too long. Does it smell down there? Is it
Right.
too, am I feeling anything? Am I not feeling anything? Like, what is his experience like? Is he getting tired? Right?
Yeah.
All of that stuff becomes so loud that we're not thinking about our own pleasure anymore. We're sort of like anxious.
Yeah.
Right? And we end up saying, don't worry about me, I'm fine as long as you come, right? When we
Right.
have this kind of relationship with our sexual pleasure, then one change that happens, whether it's having a baby and your hormones change, whether it is perimenopause or something, you're sort of going to feel like, yeah, I don't feel anything down there, or I don't know what to do, like it's just not happening for me anymore. But you haven't really tried
Mm.
to make it happen because you want it for you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, definitely desire and wanting that is going to be key.
Yes,
Yeah.
wanting it for you,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
not for your partner. Because sometimes a lot of women will want to like improve their sex life because their partner is complaining about it,
And
but
that,
she's sort of just laying there, right? And she's like, well, I do that because nothing happens for me. So they will come in seemingly for themselves, but only because he is not
yeah.
satisfied.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So aside from the self-pleasure, like how, I guess there's some more untangling to do as
Yes.
as to even understanding like why a particular individual is, does it go back? Is it, is it a right? So I mean, you're going to like, where does this originate? Because for one, it might be messages they got as an early child. For another, it could be experiences they have had or not had,
Mhm.
you know.
So definitely. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No,
You wanna?
no, you're good.
So for I'm gonna say for all women, but I guess that's overgeneralizing. For most women, our upbringing plays a huge role. It's the first reason, right? It creates what I call socially programmed sexual anxiety, right?
Hmm.
And when we have socially programmed sexual anxiety, in other words, ambivalent negative relationship with sex, then we have anxiety before we have it, we have anxiety during it, and after it. When I say anxiety, I mean we might feel guilty. We might feel resentful after we had it,
Hmm.
or we feel guilty about not having. We have drama about it.
Hmm.
Drama, right? That's the main, but that drama comes from socially programmed sexual anxiety and our bringing about or poor sex education. We don't understand sex well. We don't understand female sexuality. So we just are like deer in headlights. We don't know what's happening. We just know that we're anxious, right? Now, if a woman, and what woman hasn't experienced some sort of sexual trauma,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Uh, Micro traumas, all of us have had.
Right.
Some women have had more than others,
Hmm.
right? They have actual sexual trauma, sexual abuse. Then you have to like process that and heal that and untangle that
Hmm.
uh, in order to improve your relationship with sex. And men as a concept. Not all men are abusers. Not all men are looking to take advantage, right? And
Right. And that's
relearning that.
definitely a message that we have
That's
we
right.
heard. Yeah.
We get this message like men are there to take advantage of you and
Yeah.
use you,
Men want
and
one thing, blah
yeah,
blah.
they only do one thing.
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So, and you can see that an example of that is, I mean, maybe this is a little bit of a tangent, but an example of that is when we ask our partner to speak our love language, so we feel more connected
Hmm.
and possibly open to sex. Let's say our love language is uh, acts of service, like our partner doing things for us,
Yeah.
right? So we say, so now all of a sudden he's taking the garbage out, he's washing the dishes, he's cleaning the counters, vacuuming, like he's doing these things, right? And sometimes it works and we're like, oh my God, he really like listened. And for some women, what happens is like, well, I shouldn't have to ask, but okay, I asked. But is he doing that because he cares about me and he truly loves me? Or is he doing that because he wants the sex?
Right. Yeah, I get
Right?
it. Right. That's
Right?
right.
So we tell him what we want him to do. He's doing it, and then our brain goes like, drama, drama.
Right.
Is this the right reason? If he's doing it because he loves me, then okay. But is he doing it because he wants the sex? Then it's not.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've read quite a few books as of recent, and I think men have gotten a bad rap, unfortunately.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think we don't bring awareness to that enough. A couple of them, uh, David Data's work, The Way of the Superior Man. I don't know if you've read it. And then he
Mhm.
also wrote a book called It's a Guy Thing. And I think that there, to some degree, there's just a misunderstanding. Of course, you've got, what is his name? He wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
I know Goldman
Uh, uh, well,
doesn't have.
I don't, I forget who, but you know that it's almost as though women are expecting men to be women. And then you lose like what the man is, right? With this expectation of, you know, that's the way I see some of it. I see some of it as a loss of polarity, a loss of that magnetic attraction because women and the messaging that we've got, and I think so many of our men have been emasculated due to just natural male-driven characteristics like with the testosterone, competition. That's who men are. And
I
some need
mean,
that challenge longer than others. Some, and I think what we've done instead is, we've made these, they're almost like, when we make these statements, men only want one, that's toxic femininity at its finest.
correct. That's another, it is I call it toxic feminism,
Yeah,
meaning this idea that we don't need men.
right. It's not
I
good.
don't need sex and I don't need men to be happy, which is true. You don't need to, but rejecting men in order
Right.
not to feel vulnerable around them or somehow potentially hurt by them is equally not good for you, right? And it's
Yeah.
such a thing that such a big factor that contributes to women's low libido. This sort of like covert toxic feminism,
Yeah.
right? Because sex makes us feel vulnerable. If it's happening well, you're gonna moan. You're gonna like be open. I'm going to say words now that I hope it's okay for your listeners. You're going to be pounded, right? You're going to
Yeah.
be sort of like, quote unquote, at the mercy of someone else and maybe even surrender for your sexual pleasure,
Yeah.
right? But feels so grotesque to women that um, have this toxic feminism mindset that somehow that is appalling to be giving up your control and your self for a man, for someone,
Mhm.
right? Which so you see women that are like, counting. how much sex they're giving and measuring it because it's almost like an indirect way of quote unquote, I hope I'm not offending anyone by saying that, but a little bit of a punishing
Hmm.
element for sort of like making sure like we are holding the reins of how much sex is okay, so that he doesn't become greedy or he doesn't become too demanding. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I guess so. What would you? I mean, and I don't even know if there would be to quantify it. What would be? And I think it's so relative too. What would be a healthy level? I mean,
Mhm.
right, you've got these things out there. I mean, of course, you've got social media, but is it once a
Yeah,
week? Is it twice a week? Is it, I mean, and who's to say, right? Because every couple is going to be different. But let's say everybody
yeah.
was firing on all cylinders. Okay, all
Mhm.
cylinders are firing. Is that every day? Like, and not, but I
Well,
mean, like, I do think.
I don't know that there's, I don't know, but very few people whose all cylinders are firing.
I know. And that's why I said, if everybody was firing on all cylinders and everything was driving and the glass was totally clear and
I think the one thing that we left that it's important to be said is how our desires changes from spontaneous desire to responsive. Okay.
okay.
Meaning, yeah, especially for women. I mean, spontaneous sexual desire is horniness. Responsive sexual desire is getting into it after sex has started or sexual intimacy. Yeah.
Okay.
So you either have horniness before you have sex, that's sort of like this kind of desire, or you have the other kind of desire or a mix of both. That's like, well, I'm not in the mood, but I know that once we start, I'm gonna get into it,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Both of those desires are healthy, normal, but what happens, we mistake, is that a word?
Uh,
Responsive sexual desire for low libido, right?
oh, you said,
Because
oh, you said responsive desire for low libido
we have responsive sexual desire, meaning
after it
we're not
started.
in the mood, but after our partner
Yeah.
initiates and you said, okay, let's give it a try, we get into it.
Right.
We mistake this for low libido because the horniness is not present to begin with.
Yeah.
We tell ourselves it's sort of like something is missing or it's not happening how it should be happening.
Right.
We believe that horniness is a prerequisite
Okay.
or it's necessary before, and that's just misinformation or lack of sex education,
Yeah, but
right?
really, I just heard those two words this year, in regards to
Mhm.
that. And it's almost because I can have both,
Mhm.
right? Because, I like 11 a.m. for spontaneous, and that's why I'm feeling like that, but no one's home then unless it's me, right? Which is fine too,
Yes,
sometimes if I can
yes.
do that. But if
Hmm.
not, later at different times of the day, it might be more of a responsive.
Hmm. Hmm. And allowing both and not shutting down the responsive or telling yourself, well, I shouldn't have sex if I'm not horny,
Right,
which is oftentimes what happens, right?
right,
So
yeah.
then, you're not open and willing to even get turned on.
Hmm.
So you decrease your chances of experiencing sexual desire and pleasure because you have this thought error or false belief that you should feel horny before you have sex, and
Hmm.
that somehow there is an order to which things are happening with. And if it's not happening this way, there's something wrong with you. Okay. So this was a parenthesis because you were asking me something that you were wanting to say, what's
Oh, how much?
how much? Okay. Well, as you know, there is no right
Right.
number, right? But what I've seen works, especially for, it depends on the stage of your relationship and how much free time and privacy you actually have. But
Hmm.
for people, young kids, Um, I mean, there is no right way. There
Yeah.
is no right way. The other thing that is huge to mention is uh, intercourse is not the only way to have sex.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That when we're talking about how often we have sex, sex can be anything non-intercourse related
Hmm.
that doesn't require penetration, like oral sex,
Hmm.
manual stimulation, mutual masturbation,
Hmm.
dry humping. All of those things are sex,
Hmm. Hmm.
but that are a lot less involved and time consuming than intercourse.
Hmm.
So sometimes what happens is we tell ourselves, I don't have the time for the 5 course meal, so I'm not gonna even start. If
Right.
you
Yeah.
believe that sex is a 5 course meal, like foreplay, intercourse, I go down on him, he goes down on me, then he penetrates, and then right, then your brain is going to like if you just want a snack, but you know if you open the fridge, you're gonna have to have a 5 course meal,
Hmm.
you're not gonna open the fridge. You're gonna be like, I'd rather starve than to
Hmm.
have a 5 course meal. I just want a banana,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So understanding that getting away from this mentality of sex has to end with intercourse is can be so freeing for couples
Hmm.
because not everyone needs to come every time,
Hmm.
and or like you can take turns, or it can be just a quickie, meaning nobody comes. I don't know, it can be so
Right. Yeah.
flexible
Yeah.
so that our brain doesn't have to like find the time to fit it in if it is intercourse, right? So people's sex life becomes richer and more frequent when they understand this, that
Hmm.
maybe today you're having the soup, maybe tomorrow you're having the main course, and on Saturday maybe you're just going to have a dessert.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's great. Because I know sometimes I'm waiting for the 5 course meal, right? On purpose too, right? Maybe
Uh-huh.
because the time has been carved out, or the
Yeah.
kids are gone, or there is more time, or as you said, I think you said freedom to have, share that experience.
Flexibility.
Yeah, the flexibility. Yeah. And not everybody has that. And I think it can vary again for situationally. You also, so, honor your time. I know you offer things for clients, and I know you work right virtually and in person, I think. I think.
Yes. Yeah.
But when you have, let's say, and this might be too much to unpack. You have that couple who has been together, they love each other.
Mhm.
Resentments have built up. There's lots of smudges, lots of judgments. There's been some hurt. And sometimes that hurt potentially feels unforgivable, but you're still together. You're still choosing to be in the relationship, or you're just not quite sure you can get back to, right? And you found yourself in this sexless years of sexless marriage. I mean, I personally think there's hope.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Um, and it might be, where do you begin with couples in that scenario so that they can get back to that level of intimacy? And I know, we don't have tons of time, so it's a
It's a
loaded
big question.
question.
Yeah.
But I know there are people out there in that exact scenario.
That for sure there are people out there in that exact scenario, but if I can find a short answer to that is that when you hold a grudge for someone, you are the one who feels the grudge. Okay?
Yeah.
Holding resentment for something is an internal experience. You are the one who's suffering from feeling resentful, from being angry, for being, upset. Yeah, there might be a consequence on the other person, but it does not come without a consequence for you. So if you want to keep giving the consequence to the person that you're upset with, just know that you're punishing yourself equally.
Hmm.
You're taking away your own happiness by staying upset.
Yeah. Hmm.
So if you do want to feel better, then learning to let go and to sort of think about what has happened in a little bit of a different way, finding ways to take some responsibility for mm, the experience you had. By that, I mean, see, I don't know, people, I don't want things to be taken out of context. Sometimes, maybe your partner has betrayed your trust, there was a betrayal or something terrible that happened, like maybe even a financial betrayal. Betrayal comes in all sorts
Of
of,
course.
like there was a line, right? Um, that's a little bit of something different, learning to develop trust and to
Hmm.
restore that.
Yeah.
Uh, so that has to be healed when there has been a betrayal.
Hmm.
Sometimes that's why people just become strangers in a relationship because
Yeah.
they haven't healed from that. Um, but in general, what I have found helps people is to really be able to see how they have contributed consciously or unconsciously in the very situation that has hurt them. And because when you're able to take some responsibility and see the agency you can have to prevent that from happening again in the future,
Hmm.
always very empowering and helps people sort of make amends and accept and forgive.
Hmm.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. It reminds me, when I was reading a book called Conscious Uncoupling. I forget who
Mm,
wrote it, but and she I think herself is a therapist or a marriage
mhm,
and family therapist, but she also went through her own divorce.
mhm,
And she's like, I don't care if the other person is responsible for 97%. Your focus is on your three.
mhm,
And I think that's really important because I mean, it always takes two to tango, and I think it is. I think about that thing, you're pointing out that way, three fingers are pointing back at you, right? That we do
mhm.
have to take a look at, how we showed up or how have we shown up? What is our portion? Where have we?
That's what is our portion, but also learning to not personalize everything, to
Mm,
make everything about you is also very helpful.
it is,
Whatever partner does says a lot more about them
right?
than about you. So learning to separate your worth and value from another person's behavior is is really, really important, right? They are fallible. They are not perfect. They
Right.
make mistakes and hopefully they learn from them, but maybe they won't. You still got to do what you need to do to protect yourself if the other person is not going to learn from their mistakes.
Absolutely.
Having some grace for people to make mistakes, including ourselves to make mistakes, is also a thing that's very, you know, good for relationships.
Hmm.
To
Yeah.
a compassion and grace for our partner being imperfect
So
and
I,
having their own baggage. We all have baggage. They come
oh,
with baggage.
yes. It's funny,
Mhm.
and I do think after, being 47, the older you get, the more baggage. I can see the value in starting off younger, actually, because you accumulate some of the baggage together.
Yeah. I
Actually,
mean, what do you mean? What do you mean, being
like a
47?
couple who begins their journey together as like a couple and married earlier
Mhm,
in life than like 47.
mhm. Yes and no. I mean, I, in my 40s, I have a lot less baggage than what I had in my 20s and 30s.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
because I my brain has matured.
Well, yes, that piece I can understand. Yes. But
I have less fear of judgment. I don't care
right.
so much about what other people think.
Yeah,
My
that,
behavior is not controlled by outside things, right? I
yeah.
know that I'm responsible for my experience, and what I project in the world has to do with how I think about myself.
Yeah, that's all true. I agree with everything that you just said there for sure. So I could see why in that regard, because in other ways I'm like, oh gosh, I've got more baggage. It's just more stories, I guess. I mean,
It
but
is
I
true.
don't. Um,
It is true.
so uh, I know that you see couples virtually online. I know people can follow you. I know you had a live webinar this, I think it was,
Yes, this
um,
past Monday.
yeah, and so you're on Instagram at the Libido Coach, but where else can people find your work or connect with you?
Mhm.
And do you have
Uh,
an online course?
I don't have an online course. Right now it's a 6 month one-on-one
Okay.
program that I take through women with low libido, and I teach them how to improve their relationship with sex, their relationship with their partner slash men, and their relationship with themselves. So focus is self-confidence,
Hmm.
learning to emotional regulation and good communication,
Hmm.
mm, learning all the ins and outs about female sexuality and pleasure and turn-ons, turn-offs, um, just embracing sex as not good, not bad, neutral thing that can be easy. But having sex be easy, that doesn't mean you're going to have high sex drive, right? The
Right,
goal is not to have high sex drive, high sexual desire. The goal in my program is to make sex easy, to
right.
not be a thing that you dread or
Yeah,
that you're avoid. To have it, to enjoy it, and to be easy for you to have it again because you know there is always something good for you to get out of it,
yeah,
and to not rely on horniness for that to happen.
right.
So,
Oh, I think
uh,
it's great. So 6 months one-on-one and that you meet virtually or in person.
mostly virtually. I do have a local office,
Hmm.
but virtual has become so much
Yeah.
more calmer. It's like it saves people the commute. So
Hmm.
even if they are local, they choose to meet virtually. But of course, if somebody is located in Rochester, New York, they can definitely come into my physical office.
Okay. And then
Yes.
where's your website? I know the libido coach.
So yes, I'm the libido coach, but the my coaching website is www.newintimacy.com.
Okay.
Therapy website is www.betterrelationship.org. Okay.
Okay.
So there's two ways people work with me. If you are a couple and you're local to New York State, because I can only see couples in New York State,
Okay.
um, I do see couples in a coaching um, uh, in the coaching realm. So
Okay.
there is a way to work as a couple as a coach. Usually the first part of my like the 6 month program, the first couple months it's individual. The middle part usually is a couple. We invite the partner in and we want him to understand what it is that we're doing. We want him to also have a space to talk about his experience as a person with a higher libido in the relationship. There's a
Right.
lot of feelings like rejection or feelings of what's wrong with me, why she doesn't want to have sex with me. And
Yeah.
we want to figure that out. And then the last part again is individual. All right. So all of this is happening before I start my first group, which is probably going to happen at the beginning of the next year, but it's still a work in progress. I'm not set on the date yet.
Okay.
We have a group of women.
Okay. And all this can be found on your websites. right? Or they can stay in touch with you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, newintimacy.com.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think that this is an important conversation to have just simply because, we want to make the conversation around sex just easier. And that's not even
Yeah.
easy for so many. So,
Hmm.
and I think it's the
Yeah,
Gottman Institute. I think they said the couples who have better communication and easier communication around sex maybe find more satisfaction overall in their
of
relationship,
course.
right? Being able to
Hmm.
have those conversations there are just so important. I
Hmm.
think it's one of the most vulnerable ways we show up.
Hmm.
And so if you can't ever talk about it, then
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
piece of you that's just staying like, I don't know, like almost would feel trapped to me.
Hmm. How can you be connected, right?
Right.
When you're masking, when you're trying to not show what's happening with you.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I so appreciate your time today. And
Thank you. This was such a fun conversation for me.
yeah, me too. It's for me too. So, and I think we could go on and on. And so maybe we'll,
I know.
yeah, we can, uh, pinpoint another topic that would be beneficial, for another future conversation.
Oh, for sure. I
Okay.
would totally be open to that.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much. And I hope you have a fantastic weekend.